The movie opens at an airport where Ava is waiting with her stepfather, her boyfriend Jed, and their friend Kyle. They're about to board a flight together. Also traveling with them is a little girl named Rosa, who is accompanied by her grandparents, her grandma Nana, and her grandpa. After going through passport control and the usual pre-flight checks, the passengers wait at the gate for their plane to arrive. Eventually, boarding begins, and everyone gets on the plane. Flight attendant Danilo welcomes them aboard. Ava takes a seat next to her boyfriend Jed and their friend Kyle. But suddenly, the plane hits a patch of turbulence. Worse still, a flock of migratory birds crosses their path, and one of the birds gets sucked into one of the engines. Rosa notices something's wrong and points it out to her grandmother. Within seconds, the engine catches fire and the plane begins to spiral into chaos. Before anyone can react, things get completely out of control. A section of the cabin is ripped open by pressure, and several passengers are violently sucked out into the sky. The plane, which is flying over the ocean, crashes into the water. The front of the plane is quickly submerged, and in the impact, Kyle's arm gets badly injured. Fortunately, Ava, Jed, and Kyle were seated toward the back of the plane, where water hasn't reached just yet. Flight attendant Danilo shows up to calm everyone down. He assures them that a rescue team has already been contacted and help is on the way. Just then, Rosa appears from the submerged section and begs them to help her grandmother. She says Nana is drowning. Brandon, who survived the crash, rushes to help and brings Nana back to the rear cabin. Danilo performs chest compressions and successfully resuscitates her. Brandon then gently informs Nana and Rosa that Rosa's grandfather didn't make it. Trying to stay calm and focused, Brandon reassures Ava and the others, then decides to dive back into the submerged section of the plane to see if he can find other survivors, or at least something useful. But while exploring the underwater section, he's suddenly attacked by a shark that's made its way inside the wreckage. It bites a chunk out of him. Brandon tries to swim back and warn the others about the danger, but before he can say a word, more sharks show up. They grab him from behind, pull him under, and kill him. The remaining passengers are left completely shocked and horrified by what they've just witnessed. Now, it's not just about surviving the crash. They'll have to make it to the surface and somehow avoid becoming shark food. Ava is devastated after losing her stepfather. The survivors huddle together in the flight attendant's cabin, trying to stay calm. Danilo quickly jumps into action and grabs the first aid kit, doing his best to treat Kyle's badly injured arm. Meanwhile, up above, a rescue helicopter circles over the ocean, scanning the waters with radar, hoping to locate the downed aircraft. Back inside, the group begins to talk through their situation and debate what they should do next. Jed, Ava's boyfriend, believes waiting around is the wrong move, that they can't just sit there and hope for the best. Suddenly, one of the sharks brushes against the side of the aircraft, shaking it violently. Jed points out that with the kind of damage the fuselage has taken, they might only have a few hours left before the entire plane fills with water and sinks. Moments later, the aircraft, now completely submerged, starts shifting and groaning as the power flickers. It comes to a stop, teetering on the edge of an underwater drop-off. One wrong move, and the whole plane could slide down into the depths. The movement causes a gas valve in the flight attendant's cabin to snap loose, but Danilo quickly shuts it off. Shortly after, the plane's power comes back on. The group watches helplessly as water continues rising rapidly through the cabin. Time is running out. They desperately search for a solution. Kyle tells Danilo they'll need life vests and scuba air tanks if they want a chance at reaching the surface. But Danilo explains that, in most flights, the oxygen tanks are empty or non-functional. Kyle turns to Jed and Ava, saying their only real option is to get to the surface using the life vests, and fast. Otherwise, they'll either drown or get eaten. Ava quietly pulls out her phone and looks at a photo of her mom. She stares at it, unsure if she'll ever get the chance to see her again. Meanwhile, the rescue helicopter spots floating debris, pieces of the wreckage breaking the surface. They quickly deploy divers, hoping they're close enough to locate the plane and maybe, just maybe, save any survivors.
The divers finally spot the sunken fuselage from the distance. At the same time, Jed is preparing to dive into the water, hoping to retrieve something useful. But just as he's about to go, the divers reach the plane. Everyone inside rushes to the windows, trying to get the divers' attention. They bang on the glass, hoping someone will see them. But just as the divers get closer, hungry sharks appear behind them. The survivors inside the plane scream and signal frantically, but the divers can't hear or see the danger coming. Within seconds, the sharks attack and kill the rescue team right outside the window. Water continues rising inch by inch. The helicopter pilots, realizing they've lost contact with their divers, decide to pull back. But the question is, are they retreating for good, assuming no one's alive, or are they regrouping to return with a larger rescue team? Ava and Jed decide to make a move toward the water, cautiously and with a plan. But as Jed tries to climb across the plane seats, he loses his balance and falls straight into the water. Within seconds, a swarm of sharks attacks, viciously tearing into his leg. He survives the initial attack, but he's badly injured and ends up losing his leg. The others rush to help him, trying desperately to stop the bleeding and keep him alive. Meanwhile, Danilo discovers a possible escape route. A maintenance hatch leads to a lower section of the plane, a spot where emergency supplies might be stored. Ava volunteers to go down there and retrieve anything useful. With only a red emergency light to guide her, she enters the flooded section. A sudden movement startles her. It's just an octopus, but she pushes forward and finally locates a bag containing flotation vests and swim gear. Back in the cabin, Ava tries to keep Jed's spirits up, telling him help is coming and they'll be out soon. But he's lost too much blood. Before anyone can do more, Jed fades out and quietly passes away. Right after, the passengers realize the front section of the plane, now completely waterlogged, is breaking off. The fuselage begins splitting in two. Ava distributes the flotation vests to everyone, telling them they need to swim if they want to survive. But Kyle refuses. He reveals that he has a deep phobia of water, especially swimming in open ocean, and panics at the thought. Ava does her best to encourage him, promising they'll stick together and make it out. As they prepare to go, the water keeps rising fast. The front half of the aircraft finally detaches and plunges into the deep. Nana, Rosa's grandmother, tearfully asks Ava to look after her granddaughter. She then speaks gently to Rosa, telling her it's time to go with Ava now and that she'll join them soon. But Nana has made peace with her fate. With her husband gone, she stays behind, quietly choosing to end things on her own terms. Ava tries to teach Rosa how to breathe calmly and swim. She dives in first to check the path, only to spot a shark circling nearby. She rushes back. Meanwhile, Kyle is overwhelmed by fear and water. He loses his footing, panics, and is attacked by a shark, gone in an instant. Ava finds an oxygen tank, likely left behind by the rescue divers, and straps it onto Rosa. She tells Danilo to take her and swim for the surface, while she stays behind to distract the sharks. One shark closes in on Ava. She freezes completely, hoping it won't notice her. It works. For a moment. But more sharks show up, and Ava knows she doesn't have long. She kicks off and swims hard. The entire wreck is now rapidly sinking into the dark abyss. Ava narrowly avoids the collapsing wing, swimming upward with everything she has. But as she nears the surface, she starts running out of air. Her body weakens. Just as she's about to black out, her life vest kicks in and lifts her up. She floats unconscious for a moment, drifting under the sun, until she gasps for air. She's alive. From a distance, a rescue helicopter appears. Ava waves frantically, trying to get their attention. The team spots her and quickly lowers a rope. She's pulled up into the chopper, exhausted, soaked, and barely able to process what's happened. Then she sees them, Danilo and Rosa, the only other survivors already on board and safe. In the final scene, Ava wraps her arms around Rosa and tells her about Nana, that she couldn't survive. She's grateful to be alive, but the grief of losing her stepfather and Jed lingers in her eyes. As the helicopter lifts away into the sky, the ocean stretches out beneath them, cold, vast, and quiet once again. The film ends.